The longer you live and know the Columbia River Gorge, sort of the deeper you get into it and the more layers you peel back of what's actually here. So you develop a certain appreciation, and that's all apart from just the majestic beauty of the place. There is a long Native American history here. There's a fantastic geological history that is unlike anything else in North America. Most people think when you get a law passed that protects an area, at last it's protected and taken care of, and their attention may go on to some other cause. And for a lot of people, that was probably true with the Gorge Area Scenic Act. They thought it's protected by federal law and we can relax. Actually, that's really when the hard work begins.
My name is Nathan Baker. I'm the senior staff attorney for Friends of the Columbia Gorge. We protect the Columbia River Gorge. We've been involved in many, many battles over the years in the gorge to protect it. So that must be the mine right there. Oh yeah, I can see it. The Zimmerly property has been the largest and longest running violation in the history of the National Scenic Area. The fall of 2017, I received a phone call from a gentleman who lived next to the Zimmerly property and wanted us to know the Nutter Corporation had started up mining the Zimmerly property. And he wanted to know if the mining was legal or not. He was calling us because he knew our reputation for being the watchdogs of the gorge. The executive director of the Gorge Commission issued a permit in 1993 that allowed mining at the Zimmerly site. And I discovered that at the very end of that permit, there was one or two sentences that said, "The decision shall become void when the development action is discontinued for any reason for one continuous year or more." I looked at historic aerial photos and I realized there were many periods of inactivity where there was no mining happening. Zimmerly and Nutter Corporation were in fact illegally mining the site with no permit under the National Scenic Area rules whatsoever. In the National Scenic Area, it's important to obtain permits in order to conduct any land use or development activity. It makes sure that it's allowed under the zoning and to make sure that resources are protected. So this is the Grace's house here. This is another neighbor that's joined the litigation with us. At this point, probably hundreds of people have submitted comments against the project. The neighbors of the Zimmerly property are suffering the consequences of the illegal mining.
Well, it's like studies, but...
You replace it with a pronoun.
Oh, Unified Nations, it was very it.
It, that's right.
We have homeschooled since the kids were of school age, and we were really excited to have a room in our house that was just going to be our schoolroom. At the peak, we had over 220 trucks going up and down, and so that was over 400 trips a day. Quite scary. That was very unnerving.
So there are severe safety risks posed by the mining trucks that come in and out of this site. In the summer of 2018, a mining truck careened off of the site across Evergreen Highway and destroyed the BNSF rail tracks.
You know, I saw this wreck and I took pictures and provided them to Nathan.
The people who live near the Zimmerly property have been the eyes and ears of the gorge.
I have been able to give him a lot of information as to what is going on in the mine. We've been able to develop a really good partnership.
Friends of the Columbia Gorge and the neighbors of the Zimmerly property filed complaints with Clark County, giving the county the evidence and the legal theories necessary to, in fact, shut down the mining.
The problem is that the laws aren't self-executing. They still have to be carried out. So the fact is that not even the agencies themselves always follow the law.
It was a really big enforcement problem. The Gorge Commission staff didn't follow through by exercising their significant enforcement powers by imposing fines, stop work orders, and the community was witnessing that.
The county and the Gorge Commission seemed to want to keep passing off to each other, and nobody really wanted to enforce, which was very frustrating.
And of course, Zimmerly and Nutter kept mining, kept violating. For nearly a 3-year period, the illegal mining activities continued.
The big threat to the gorge, probably the biggest threat, is the one that is sometimes least appreciated. It's not that there will be some major transformation all at once. It's eating away at the gorge, little bit by little bit.
Nutter and Zimmerly have had just a really callous disregard for the public and for the National Scenic area. Zimmerly and Nutter have a long history of violating land use and environmental laws stretching back decades. And in 1997, Zimmerly illegally built a system of drainage ditches, channeling their mining runoff, and ultimately into Steigerwald Lake National Wildlife Refuge and into Gibbons Creek that hosts endangered species of salmon. They destroyed more than a mile of salmon habitat in Gibbons Creek. The wetlands restoration project at the Steigerwald Lake National Wildlife Refuge, all of that is threatened if the discharges were to resume from the Zimmerly property.
Nearly 1,000 acres of restored habitat. This $32 million undertaking is the largest habitat restoration project ever completed on the Lower Columbia River.
The salmon runs of the Columbia, at least as they once existed, are legendary. So when you're working to protect salmon habitat and maintain the viability of salmon populations, you're talking about something that is national, international significance.
Nathan Baker with Friends of the Columbia Gorge. Zimmerly and Nutter argued that 1993 permit is still valid.
This is a continued hearing for the Washougal pit. How severe do you believe the impacts will be on you and your family and the area surrounding your home if this mine resumes operation?
Significant enough that we wouldn't want to live here.
Our safety, our welfare, our very lives are not on their radar. It does not matter to them.
In August 2019, the Gorge Commission finally agreed with friends and the neighbors that the mining, in fact, was illegal. And that was a really big milestone.
Since the mining truck stop in 2020, it has been amazing. I mean, it has been quiet, it has been peaceful. Nathan's done a great job of helping me and other neighbors to understand ways that we could use our voice.
It took a couple years, but we got them shut down. So that's currently where we are. You know, they're not allowed to mine without a permit. When Zimmerly and Nutter started the mining, did you notice changes in the wildlife patterns?
Oh yeah, the deer. They've come back a lot now since we don't have the noise and stuff.
They won the very first round in 2017, but we won round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5. You know, we've been winning ever since.
That's great. We really appreciate your hard work.
Nathan is so talented. Number one, he's a super hardworking guy. He has a really unique skill set in that as an attorney, he knows the rules and the background and the history of the Columbia River Gorge National Scenic Area, which very few people do.
It's going to be really important for the relationship to continue between Friends of the Columbia Gorge and the neighbors and the community at large. We will keep fighting to protect the gorge.
We're talking about something that the Columbia River Gorge and the ecosystems along it that are really a national treasure. We think of it maybe as our backyard sometimes, but this is a national scenic area.